And a good Friday morning to you. July 30th, final Friday here in July. Lanny Ford along with you this morning, flying solo. Just me, my friends, and my 40 pounds of gold. Right there, challenged, waiting. Doors always open. All challenges are accepted. So, good morning to you. How about we start with a somewhat of a feel-good story this morning. We don't get a whole lot of those. Everybody likes to whine and complain about everything, and I'm at the top of the list. I'll go ahead and tell you I'm at the top of the list. But let me give you a feel-good story for today out of the NBA draft. I'll also update you on who the Charlotte Hornets took. But good morning, Richie. The feel-good story for this morning that comes out of the draft, but it's got a sad twist to it. That's the key to it. There was a guard, a prospective guard out of Kentucky. His name was Terrence Clark, and he would have more than likely been selected in the first round of the NBA draft last night. So the league paused in the middle of the first round, and it was to show honor to Terrence Clark, 19-year-old basketball prospect out of Kentucky who died tragically in a car accident earlier this year. Commissioner Adam Silver paused the draft and invited Clark's mother, sister, and brother onto the stage as the NBA selected Clark, giving him the honor he would have received had the tragedy earlier this year not taken place. He was so ready, so excited, said his mother. It's all he talked about, just going to the draft. Like, Mama, am I ready for this? This is big. And she said, yes, Terrence, you wouldn't be in this position if people didn't think you were that good. You know, sometimes we forget. Bill Klein, good morning. Chris Knott, good morning. Sometimes we forget about the good stories. We forget about the good things that happen in sports. For some reason, we're just not as apt to sensationalize the good things that happen. We want to capitalize on the tragedies, the bad things that happen. But right there was a great moment that even though Terrence Clark wasn't there, his family was honored, and what he had accomplished up into his tragic passing was honored as well. So my hat's off. I thought that was a very classy move. John Calipari, Kentucky coach, said thank you. This was on Twitter. Said thank you to Adam Silver, Mark Tatum, and everyone in the NBA office who gave Terrence's family and all of us who loved him a special moment tonight. It shows the true heart of the league, and I thank you all. I thought that was awesome right there. His name did get called at the draft, and so I want to kind of start with that this morning. I thought that was a great story. I wasn't aware of it, but it was a great story. You know, one of the things, talking about the NBA draft, I didn't watch it, not an NBA follower. I didn't really recognize any names, to be perfectly honest with you. Did not recognize any names. I can tell you who went first. The Detroit Pistons took Cade Cunningham. Jalen Suggs ends up with the Orlando Magic. The Charlotte Hornets, let me give you that. See if I can pull up the whole pick here. That's hard to do sometimes. Well, thought I could. But the NBA draft is not anywhere close to what the NFL draft is. Nobody does it like the NFL does. It becomes a spectacle. It becomes must-see TV. But here, come on. All this information, and I can't find anything that I'm looking for. I just want to see the rounds. There we go. Cade Cunningham went number 1 out of Oklahoma State. He's a point guard, number one in his position, number 1 overall rank as far as the NBA is concerned. Then Jalen Green, shooting guard, went number 2. Evan Mobley Mobley, out of Southern Cal. Center went 3. Scotty Barnes out of Florida State went 4. Jalen Suggs out of Gonzaga went 5. Josh Gidney out of Australia, international player, went 6. Jonathan Kumunga out of Congo, power forward, went 7. Franz Wagner out of Michigan went 8. Davion Mitchell out of Baylor went 9. Zaire Williams out of Stanford went 10. Charlotte Hornets, with the number 11 pick, took a shooting guard out of UConn named James Bouknight, 6'5", 190 pound, fourth ranking at his position, 9th overall ranking, which is pretty good considering they picked 11th. So we'll see if that helps and if the Charlotte Hornets can become relevant. That's the biggest thing. You know, the Hornets got LaMelo Ball last year, and now trying to surround him a little bit. I don't know. The Charlotte Hornets have not been great. Well, you're right there, Link. It's news. Link says morning. Who cares about the NBA anyway? It's too long. I think the season is. I just can't get into it. I can do college basketball, but not NBA. Let me give you a couple players of local note. Trey Murphy III out of Virginia went 17. Duke player Jalen Johnson went number 20. North Carolina, Day'Ron Sharp, center, went 29th in the draft last night. And let's see. Round 2, if there's anybody from our area or inside the AC that may have went. Louisville, David Johnson went 17th or 47th overall. And Balsa Karavic out of Florida State, a center, went 57th overall. And Raekwon Gray, power forward out of Florida State, went 59th overall. You know, Chris, that's an interesting topic. Chris says, what's going to happen to the Big 12? I think the Big 12 gets gobbled up, Chris, just to be honest with you. And, you know, the SEC has officially invited Texas and OU, and why would they decline it? Of course they'll take it. So Big 12's wanting to blame ESPN for destabilizing the league. I think they did that to themselves because the Big 12 didn't have 12. It only had 10. And that, from what I have read, is Texas and Oklahoma's motive to get out. Now, here's the thing that concerns me, Chris. Does it start a domino effect? Does a domino effect begin and they start cherry-picking teams? There was a great article, and I'll give that to you, that was on The Athletic yesterday. They had a Super League, 24 teams. A Super League, 24 teams, and it did poach, if I'm not mistaken, 4 teams from the ACC. See if I can find that. What if you had that? That's what I've said all along. You need this mega league with the superstars of college football, and even those 24 cannot compete for a they can't compete for a national championship, even the 24 that you're in. Now, there's going to be fallout. That's where we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Now, this is where it is. Should the rest of the teams form a super conference, a mega conference, however you want to say it? There were 24 teams that were selected, and out of that, yeah, you're right, Link. West Virginia's probably going to want to join the ACC. Chris said, does ACC look for a new member to try to rework their horrible TV deal? Clemson and Florida State have got to be envious when they see the SEC TV dollars. And, Chris, if you didn't hear this yesterday, I mentioned this yesterday, the SEC is scheduled to make more money as a league as a league than the NCAA as a whole. Now, here's your 24 teams that The Athletic came up with. I was looking, Andy Staples is the author of this. Now, you tell me, I'm going to go through this list. You tell me if there's anybody that I'm leaving out from a national side that could compete year in and year out with these other teams for a national championship. This is in alphabetical order, okay? Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Iowa, LSU, Miami, Michigan, Michigan State, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Oregon, Penn State, Tennessee, Texas, Texas A&M, Southern Cal, Virginia Tech, Washington, and Wisconsin. Okay, 15 of those are in the Big Ten or SEC, and that's where the majority of it is. 2 are moving to the SEC with Texas and Oklahoma. The other 7 are in the ACC or the Pac-12, and if given a truth serum, their leaders probably would say they'd be better off in the Big Ten or the SEC. I saw another article yesterday that said, what if you took the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and created a super conference with 2 divisions? I don't know. Joe says ACC's happy with their deal. Swafford believes leaving said they are happy to have influence from New York to Florida with Notre Dame as an alternate. There's something most don't have. Kerry, good morning. The ACC screwed up last year when they didn't force the hand of Notre Dame when they needed a conference. I said it yesterday. I've said it since the beginning when we go to this 12-team playoff. That's not coming this year, but the following year. Notre Dame needs a conference because if they don't have a conference, they can't get a first-round bye. Now, how important is that first-round bye? I would think it's huge. Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. The ACC has a horrible TV deal, and they're locked in till 2035. And you know, Joe, when you talk about it, what else is Swafford going to say other than they're happy with their deal? He's the guy that made the deal. What else can you say? ACC's fourth in money, in TV money. Let me ask you this, Chris. Is the ACC not fourth in the power draw of those leagues? I don't know who's above them. I'm sure SEC and Big Ten and maybe Pac-12. Is that the ones that's above them? That just leaves the ACC and the Big 12. And the only reason the Big 12 would possibly be ahead of them is because of the money that Texas brings in. If you remember, go back, Texas was the first college or university to have its own TV network. Not the conference, not the league, but just the school. Big 12. Big 12, then the Big 12's because of Texas and Oklahoma. I'm betting Texas and Oklahoma pull out, that TV deal gets reworked. There was another article, and I can't find it at the moment, that talked about what the financial impact would be for a school like Clemson to leave. Well, where are they going to leave to? I believe the SEC is going to have 16 now. I don't see how you can get bigger than 16. Suzanne, good morning. Good morning, Elizabeth. Glad to see you up this morning. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I thought we were done with the realignment nonsense that happened 4 or 5 years ago, but it looks like now it's going to happen again. And, you know, I think it was I can't remember if it was Juju or David had made the comment that the Group 5 was looking to come up with like a super league of its most powerful draws and have a different conference. Football, especially in the Power 5 segment, needs to be separate from a conference alignment. Football needs to just be separate from the other sports. The other sports need to get more regional. And they don't need conferences of 16. Why can't you have more regional conferences with, like in other sports where you have home and home matchups? I think that killed the excitement of the ACC in basketball, even in football, when they got to the point to where they couldn't have, in basketball, when they couldn't have home and home. In a conference where you can't play each other every year. I've never cared for that as well. Let me take a first time out. We come back. Greeny's going to join us this morning. We'll see if we can get a hold of him, and we'll have more here on the Bottom Line.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4 Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. And welcome back. I'm glad to have you in the house this morning. A couple interesting comments came up during that break. Joe says this is all leading to either a major conference or some form of separate power to separate the Power 5 and Group 5. Let me go to the phones. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
I got your voicemail, so I wasn't sure what was going on.
I was just finishing up another call, and I was like, Maiden, wait, who is that?
That's okay. That's okay. We're on a pretty interesting topic. I'll get your take. It's Greeny from Golf Shop Radio. The Texas and Oklahoma move is all over. I think the fat lady is prepared to sing. So what is it going to do to the Big 12? Does it just go away? Does everything get absorbed into something else?
Well, when you look at what's left, I mean, there's no what would you call a flagship team to that?
Oh, there is none.
No. Oklahoma State is about as big as you're going to get right now. And, you know, they were floundering anyway because you really only had, I mean, in all honesty, Texas hasn't been that good of late. So really it was Oklahoma. I mean, this is a big deal for Texas because they were terrible, you know, for a while here. So, you know, I mean, you got to think that you start snapping these things up when that conference goes away. Some go to the Big Ten, some or whatever it's called now. Some go to the Pac-12. You would think West Virginia goes to the ACC, and you got to think at some point Notre Dame, despite their TV contracts, that the ACC would work with Notre Dame because Notre Dame needs to get in the conference quick before this thing all, you know, goes into big conferences. So, I mean, will it be great for fans? Yeah. Is it necessarily a great thing for some of these schools? Not necessarily, but maybe you get some different exposure. Maybe you have some different opportunity if you're in Oklahoma State and you go maybe out to the Pac-12 and, you know, you've been a kind of a middle of the road team in the Big 12, and maybe you can make a little dent in the Pac-12. Who knows?
Well, you know, I don't see how they can survive. And I'm not convinced that we need 5 Power 5 conferences. You know, I read out of an article just a few minutes ago that a guy on The Athletic wrote about a super or mega league with 24 teams in it. And the 24 teams that I listed, nobody could think of anybody that was left off that list that should be in there that could potentially compete for a national championship.
Well, you know, I was doing the same thing because years ago, Lanny, I thought about, you know, 4 16-team conferences.
That's me. That's and 48. Then, yep.
Yeah. Well, and I started looking at it, and I'm like, man, you know, now I don't see it because and then I got on board with 20. Well, I went to 20, and I started leaving people out. So I kind of started down the path of it needs to be 4 24-team conferences. It needs to have. You know,
no, not 424. That'd be 96.
Yeah, there are 96 legitimate teams that I think you could put into this. So hear me out.
Wow. Okay.
You got 4 24s, right? And basically, what you start doing is you break these things down into 4 16 divisions. You play all your division opponents. There's your 5 games. You play 2 rotating out of each of the other 3 divisions. There's 6 more games. Now you've got 11 games, right? Mm-hmm. And then after that, you're going to have 4 division winners. Those 4 division winners play a semifinal and a final. So now you've got the 12th and the 13th game for those teams. And then those 4 teams go into a semifinal and a final for the playoff. And there's your 15 games to win a national championship. And that's very similar to what we have now. And you look at it from the perspective of, like, so let's just say Clemson and South Carolina. Clemson and South Carolina would be in the same conference and they'd be in the same division. Therefore, they play every single year. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Texas and Texas A&M, Auburn and Alabama. You know, you could put Michigan, Ohio State, and you could throw Michigan State in there so that, you know, you have those natural rivalries are already built in. You can schedule those games whenever you want to. If you want to make it the last game of the season, like a lot of them do, you can do that. Some of them choose to do it in the middle of the season. You do that. But, you know, when you start looking at 16, like, I've got it sitting here in front of me. When I put 16 down, like, Vanderbilt was left out. Marshall was left out. South Florida, Central Florida was left out. Air Force was left out. TCU was left out. Texas Tech was out. Colorado State, SMU. I mean, App State, Kansas State. I mean, these aren't huge names, but they're names that, you know, traditionally have been in these conferences and haven't done any wrong, so how do you penalize them?
I understand, but it needs to be a different level, a different division, because Vanderbilt can't compete in the SEC, much less compete for a national championship.
That's true.
That's my say.
That's true.
That's what I'm getting at. Now, Chris brings up an interesting point. Let me ask you this. Chris said, this is Chris Knott. Chris says, up here, Penn State alum are talking about the ACC coming with Notre Dame, West Virginia, and Maryland to make a mega conference.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm
kick Nebraska out. Nebraska doesn't need to be in the Big Ten.
Well, if you go to the 24 model, or even the 20 where I have listed here, like my East was Miami, Florida State, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Clemson, Duke, NC State, UNC, Wake Forest, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Maryland, Rutgers, West Virginia, Georgia Tech, East Carolina, South Florida, Central Florida, and App State. There's 20 that could be in an Eastern Conference right there. You know, I didn't so I have all those in there. I don't have Penn State, and I was trying to, I guess, outside of Georgia, and the only reason why Georgia went in is because, you know, maybe Georgia and Georgia Tech don't stay in there. Maybe you flip-flop somebody. But, you know, if you look at the East, I'm saying, okay, anybody that state touches the Eastern Seaboard would be considered in the East. And that's kind of how I started doing something like that. But, yeah, I mean, it's a scenario where you could group these things. I mean, you could do something a little more northern. You know, I had Syracuse, Penn State, Pitt, Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, Northwestern, Notre Dame, BC, Cincinnati, Indiana, Purdue, Illinois, Marshall, Iowa State, TCU, and Kansas State. So, you know, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. And ultimately what you might have to do is if you go to 4 mega conferences, you might just have to say, okay, we're going to put somebody in charge of each conference, and you guys are just going to go through and pick your teams. I mean, well,
and don't you think the other thing that needs to happen, and this is the hugest rub there is right here, nobody's in charge. The conference commissioners aren't in charge. They're just figureheads because the college and university presidents make all the decisions concerning their institution. And next point, shouldn't football be scheduled in conference totally separate from all the other sports that a school has?
Yeah, and that's my caveat for this whole thing. No matter how it shakes out, this is football only because nothing else is going to work on this scale. Nothing else makes money on this scale. I mean, you can try and argue basketball, and you'll come up short. We all know that football is the cash cow. And, you know, you're not going to say that we're going to have 4 24-team conferences for golf because that just doesn't work.
Right.
We're not going to do it, you know, for softball or baseball or track and field. It doesn't make sense. So, you know, you could – and this is the whole point is that at some point these schools need to realize that we don't even need the NCAA for this. You know, we can just create our own
that does concern the NCAA too.
Yes. Because that's money for them as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's what needs to happen is they just need to put somebody in charge, a committee in charge that says this is the landscape of college football. NCAA, you can manage the rest of it, have at it all day long, make your rules, make your regulations. We're doing this for football. You don't like it, we'll pull every sport from you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree 100%. What we got going in the world of golf this weekend?
Well, we got the Olympics. We've got, you know, obviously it starts when you're about ready to go to bed, and it's done by the time you get done. So you have Olympic golf, and
should that be an Olympic sport?
I'm not a fan. When you look at the strength of field for the Olympic golf, now I understand we lost Bryson DeChambeau and John Rahm, both top 5 players in the world, including Rahm as the number 1 player in the world. So your strength of field drops. But even back in 2016, we were missing some players. We're going to continue to miss players. I mean, there are women on the LPGA Tour that skipped the Evian Championship, which is a major championship last week, to be able to focus on the Olympics, which doesn't make sense to me. But it's in such a tough time because you got the playoffs coming up. You just got finished with your major championship season. You've got a WGC event coming up. But when you look at it from that perspective, the strength of field this week for the Olympic golf, the 60 players, is less of a strength of field than we had for the Sony Open, which is the second tournament this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to end up being about the 30th ranked event by strength of field this year. And for me, I mean, automatically, it obviously goes below the four majors, below the Players' Championship, and below your 4 WGC events. So for me, it's never even going to be inside the top 10 events. I think I would rather go play at Arnie's tournament and Jack's tournament. I would probably rather come here to the Wells Fargo Championship than go to the Olympics. So I think if they moved it, you can't just move the Olympics, but I think if it was at a different time, it would work. But right at the end of a big part of the season and right before the important money-making part of the season, to me, just doesn't make sense.
Now, let me tell you where my rub comes from. My rub comes from golf is already – I look at Olympic sports in non-traditional team-type sports and also sports that you don't have an opportunity to see it competed on an international level. Golf, tennis, there's other things out there that these guys, they can compete anytime against the best in the world. You don't have to wait for an Olympics. And that's why I've never liked bringing that type sport into the Olympics, because you want to see the sports where they don't have the opportunity to compete against each other.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right on. I mean, for me, when you look at track and field, I mean, they have their world championships,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That you may have your country championships, and then the Olympics is right there on that level because, again, you have your own country, which would be kind of like golf's U.S. Open. You have the world championships, which might be like the Masters, tournament where all the international players get to come in and play, and then and that's it. So if it was like the Masters, the U.S. Open, the British Open, and the Olympics,
mm-hmm.
then it makes total sense. But it's not. Like I said, I mean, right off the rip, it's like the 10th best thing in the world.
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't get a chance. I think this happened after I got off the air yesterday, and I know you follow music as well. We lost Dusty Hill yesterday. Those of you that don't know who Dusty Hill is, he's the bass player out of Houston of the ZZ Top band at the age of 72. And it's kind of unexpected from what I understand. And, we see these iconic rock groups, they start losing members like, Glenn Frey's son is in the Eagles, but it's still not Glenn Frey.
Right, yeah. And, I mean, it was very unexpected. I mean, they found him passed away in his hotel room. I think he had a show either last night or tonight that they had a show scheduled. So, yeah, right. Very unexpected. And for, I don't know about you, but for me, that was, way back in the day, that was one of the first two cassette tapes that I ever bought as I wouldn't even say maybe a preteen or something like that. ZZ Top and Def Leppard were kind of the two first cassette tapes that I ever bought. So, yeah, big loss for the world of music and somebody that's been around for a while just getting it done.
And, he didn't sing. Billy Gibbons did the singing, except, the one song that he did sing?
No, I don't.
Tush. That's Dusty Hill. So
nice.
there you go. What you got going on tomorrow on the show, my friend?
All right. Well, we're going to talk to Bill Bender of the Sporting News, talk a little bit more about this conference realignment, talk about, I think he was part of Big Ten Media Week. We're going to talk to Rob Spellman about Tobacco Road and Primland in our area, so Golf Aficionado magazine. And then we're going to do a little preview of the WGC St. Jude Invitational with our man Burt Bain. So we got a busy day tomorrow.
Good for you. You can catch the Golf Shop Radio. That's 8 to 10, same time the boys are on here out of ESPN 730 in Charlotte. Greeny, as always, have a good day. Thanks for joining me, bud.
Thanks, Randy. Have a good one.
See you, man. That's Greeny from Golf Shop Radio. And, we're all kind of on the same page here. I'm going to take a little break. Kenny, good morning. Ryan, Andrew, good morning. No, Lindsay, you're not getting my belt, my 40 pounds of gold. Jason Moose, good morning. Richie said, thought about going to see ZZ Top. They were to be playing in Simpsonville right down the road last night. So there it was. Wow. Let me take a break. Joe Hughes from the Gaston Gazette will join me. We'll get a little high school preview football coming up, but we'll take a quick time out and come back. And thanks for joining me on this muggy, ugly Friday morning.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC and the New York Stock Exchange. Welcome back. Let me head over to our guest line. First-time guest with us. Hope he's can become somewhat of a regular. Covers sports for the Gaston Gazette. He's Joe Hughes. Joe, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking the time out to join us. You know, we got high school football coming up Monday and new conference alignments. Give us a little preview of what you see in the area that you cover.
Well, of course, mainly Gaston and Cleveland with a sprinkle of Lincoln County in there. But, of course, with Big South 3A, the question really is what's going to happen? You have the addition of South Point with Crest, Kings Mountain, and Stuart Kramer, Forest View, Huff, Ashbrook, that group. And the real question is, all these teams have question marks that they need to address. Crest is basically trying to replace all of its offensive production. It lost T.J. Ruff. It also lost its top pass catcher, Caleb Borders, and their whole offensive line.
Wow.
But their defense could be among the best the state has to offer when healthy. So, and then you have South Point, which is bringing back a lot on the offensive line, and they only missed the playoffs by 3 points last year.
And South Point, were they not 2A? Yeah, they were 2A, right?
They were in Southwestern 2A last year.
Which is amazing. You would never think of South Point High School being in a 2A rank.
Correct. They were at the 3A level for so long and had a lot of success, and really had a lot of success in 2A as well. But they're back with their normal group, and it should add a lot of good football.
Does it appear that they've done a better job of the reorganization with high school football in this realignment than some of the years past? I know I do some football for Mooresville High School, and Mooresville was down in the IMEC 4A, and wow, you're going to the University of Mallard Creek and the University of Huff, and honestly, that's the way you look at it. Those are huge places. I can remember 2 years ago being at Huff High School, and I want to say they had 35 seniors on senior night. So but now they're out of that Mecklenburg County realm, and now they're in they're still 4A, but they're in with like A.L. Brown and Central Cabarrus and the Cabarrus County Schools, some Iredell County Schools, of course, Lake Norman High School as well. But it looks like everything's kind of gotten a little more regionalized and localized.
Correct. And for better or worse, that was kind of the main emphasis the High School Association really put on this realignment, at least from the tone that you kind of see with how the conferences were drawn up. Big South 3A, everyone is Gaston and Cleveland. Of course, it was basically that the last realignment, but they kept it that way. Then you have Southern Piedmont 1A, 2A, for better or worse. You have powerhouses like Shelby and Burns, and then you have East Gaston, Highland Tech, Bessemer City, and Cherville. It's rather unbalanced. And but you can see the idea of trying to consolidate and trying to make sure that these teams are not having to go way too far and extend themselves well beyond their means in an effort to get to an athletic endeavor.
You know, I saw on your Facebook feed, and I've got to apologize from the beginning. I hate them when they do turf that's not green, and I didn't know Livingston was coming out. You know, I guess it was Boise was the one that wanted to kind of sue other schools because they started using colored turf, even if it wasn't their color. I just don't like it. Your thoughts?
It's different. I like people that can be creative and try to find different ways to get a buck. Boise, of course, they are the trendsetters in that regard.
Right.
They had the blue turf first, and they rolled with it, and it really helped them become different in terms of kind of making their school cool. Other schools followed. You had, I think, one in Eastern Washington that is red. I didn't really like that. I think that really made for an interesting watch on television. I used to live in Myrtle Beach. Of course, Coastal Carolina has the teal turf. That actually has it's different, but it's not terrible because it doesn't take away from the football product. I don't think this one will take away from the football product, but it's not Boise State. You're just doing it to see whether you can appeal to some sort of recruits.
You know, it's funny. I don't even like shooting pool on a table that's not green. I like the green felt that's on a pool table just like that. But Livingston making a little statement there for themselves. Any interesting moves that have been made inside of high school football coaches in the off season? I know one of my listeners said that Langston had tweeted out something going on at Myers Park. A lot of players were transferring out. They lost their head coach that had been so successful this past season. Was that not correct?
Correct.
Did that have some effect on it?
I'm sure it did, but with how things are going in high school football now, and it's basically how we pick and play. Kids play, hey, I want to play with this kid, and we're great friends, and I like this coach. Let's see whether we can make this work. It's different, and it's not like how it used to be. And I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong. People have different circumstances, but it's just different. And there's constant moving and shaking, and you never really know from year to year exactly what is going to be one's roster. Whereas it used to be, I knew where this kid's going to be from freshman year all the way through senior year, and that's going to be that.
Yeah. Your take on there seems to be maybe some upheaval that's going to happen inside the High School Athletic Association. They had a meeting yesterday with the legislatures. I think that's curtailed it a little bit, but I still say there's going to have to be huge concessions made if the High School Athletic Association wants to have any semblance of what it is now. A lot of folks think that the state can take it over. It can't take it over. It's an independent, privately held nonprofit corporation. The state can't take it over. However, the state can direct the member institutes that you can't be a part of that association. You have to be a part of this one since we supply some tax dollars. So do you think that they do get to the point to where there's some concessions made? And I was very disappointed from the meeting that was closed. That's been the whole complaint about the Athletic Association is you don't tell anybody anything, the transparency thing, and then they had a meeting with legislatures and it was closed.
Yeah, that was very interesting indeed. And excuse me. But, of course, I really do think some sort of concessions have to be made. Kind of when all of this was coming about, that was kind of my whole thought process anyway. You're going to have to be more transparent. There's no other way to come about in that regard. How do you come to these decisions? Why do you come to these decisions? And why is this the decision that's being made? Those are three questions that really people want, but don't always get when it comes to the high school association.
And I'm going to tell you, that's just about as simple as it can be said, and that's kind of what everybody has been after, is when you make a decision, when something is handed down, it needs to be available for everybody to see. Everybody needs to know why this decision was made, what was the basis, so that you know what it is next time. And that's the biggest thing that doesn't happen. And I think the association got to the point to where the more they were pushed, the more they pushed back.
Yeah, not to go too far into law and government, that is basically how laws come about, and why courts interpret what past precedents are.
Mm-hmm.
The schools need those same past precedents to be able to know exactly, hey, this is right, this is not right.
Mm-hmm.
Should I move forward?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that they really don't know to do because of the fact that what is what? Where's the line?
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree 100%. And I was very disappointed to see that based on what most of the complaints were about, carried on into this session of meeting with the legislatures, when the legislators were the ones that were complaining about the transparency and knowing what's going on.
Yeah, as always, certain matters make for strange bedfellows.
Yes.
So, I can only wish I was a fly on the wall.
Yes,
but I do think some sort of change is going to come about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be totally drastic necessarily,
mm-hmm.
but there will be some sort of change in terms of structure and how they operate and how they disseminate information.
I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. Before I let you go, your take on where you see the Big 12 maybe disappearing. I don't see any reason Oklahoma and Texas will not accept the invitation from the SEC to join. And do we see more poaching and more merging based on what's happening now?
I think so. Of course, this is kind of the dream scenario for a guy that used to play NCAA football like it was no one's business. You used to be able to shift conferences and move teams here and there and plug and play and see exactly how this would happen or that would happen. No, in a business sense, for Oklahoma and Texas, it is a perfect deal. You're basically merging in with a rabid conference in terms of football and what it means. They say it means more. Mm-hmm. And those two particular institutions really put a real emphasis on football, two blue bloods. Yes. But it really will make for an interesting way of trying to figure out where the rest of the Big 12 goes. I really think that Kansas and Baylor are two really interesting. Yeah, I think they're going to where they go is going to be very interesting to me because Kansas basketball in itself is totally an outlier.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and it's going to be very appealing to someone. And of course, Baylor's the defending national champions and really have something good going down there, and just far as an athletic program concerned. So,
a lot of folks think that may be to the Big Ten.
That would be the best fit.
Yeah,
that would be the best fit, especially with how they're made up in terms of education and where they kind of fit in that way. And I really think that we don't look at that enough, mm-hmm. how these schools fit in just culture-wise, mm-hmm. whether they fit into the Pac-12, which is definitely more education-based, and they really trying to have a standard there, and the Big Ten supposedly does as well. Whereas the SEC and ACC kind of have more money in mind.
I don't mean to be ugly, but that really is getting lost in the shuffle now when they start taking, well, our academic and educational standards are on a totally different level. No, it's not. It's about the money. When you talk about major college football and even major college basketball, it's about the money. That's where most of it is derived from, or I think it is. And they can say that, and they say, well, we can't compete on that level because we have a higher academic standard. Everybody's starting to slide because the thing that matters is being prevalent on the national scene in sports. Whether you like it or you don't, you've created this monster, and you've got to continue to feed it.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So I don't see what else they could do.
That is – the Big 12 is going to dissolve some way. Of course, their commissioner is backed into a corner, and he's trying to fight at everyone that he can right now. I think he's done at ESPN, he's done at SEC in the past couple of days.
The biggest thing, he needs to blame himself because he let teams get away and he didn't go out and poach somebody else, and that's why the conference wasn't happy about it, I think.
Very true. One question I have out of this is what happens to the Longhorn Network if they join the SEC?
Well, that same question will be popped up with Notre Dame's TV contract. What mm-hmm. happens to it? I think there's some negotiation there that they ain't giving all that money to the conference.
And that's the whole reason why I doubt it. Notre Dame will ever join the conference.
Yeah. Well, the only thing, and I mentioned this earlier, they're going to have to if they want to buy in the first round of the new playoff scenario because they can't get a bye if they don't win a conference.
Very true.
That forces their hand just a little bit. Joe, I appreciate you on the short notice joining us, and love to kind of put you on a little bit of a regular rotation. High school football gets started. You can kind of keep us updated what's going on out through Gaston County.
Yes, sir. Definitely enjoyed it.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. We appreciate it. Joe Hughes with the Gaston Gazette. And appreciate Joe joining us this morning. Short notice. I saw he was in here, so I wanted to get to him and just see if I could ask him a few questions, especially with football coming up Monday. And we'll talk more about high school football next week. Let me give you some on this day before we get out of here. Bill Walsh passed away in 2007, of course, American Hall of Fame coach from the 49ers. He had leukemia, passed away at the age of 75. And Nick Bonacani, what a middle linebacker for the Miami Dolphins, part of that undefeated team back in 72, and a sportscaster on NBC, passed away in 19 at the age of 78. Let's look at a couple of things going on in sports on this day. Of course, there's always Olympic stuff and that type thing. Let's see. 1959, future San Francisco Giant Hall of Famer first baseman Willie McCovey, in his Major League Baseball debut, goes 4 for 4 in a 7-2 win over the Phillies at Seal Stadium. Milton saying, good morning. I think yesterday was your birthday, if I'm not mistaken, Milton. Happy birthday. I don't remember seeing you in here yesterday, so I'll go ahead and get that in for you today. Expos in 1978 crushed the Braves 19-0 and collected 28 hits and a National League record-tying 8 home runs. 8 home runs in a game. 1982, Atlanta Braves removed Chief Nakahoma to make room for more seats. I can remember as a kid going to see the Braves play. This would have been in the 7-8-year-old range, maybe 9-year-old range, and seeing Chief Nakahoma. We'd go to not only to the Braves game, but we would also go to Six Flags as well. George Steinbrenner in 1990 is forced by Commissioner of Baseball Fay Vincent to resign as the principal partner of the Yankees. I look at George Steinbrenner. He is the Al Davis of Major League Baseball. Always seemed to be a thorn a little bit in the side of whoever the commissioner is. 1996, Tommy Lasorda retired as the Dodgers manager. And see if I got any birthdays today. Let me pull up a little bit of, not birthday music, but just going away music. Birthdays for today. Casey Stengel, born in 1890, American Baseball Hall of Fame manager of the Yankees from 49 to 60. New York Mets first, born in Kansas City, Missouri. We lost him in 1975. Carl Snavely, remember that name? Any of you Tar Heel fans? Born in 1894, he's in the American College Football Hall of Fame. Coached at Bucknell, North Carolina, and Cornell. Born in Omaha, he went 180, 96, and 16. Bud Selig, American Baseball Hall of Fame team owner of the Brewers and commissioner from 98 to 15, was born on this day in 1934. Neil Bonnet, American race car driver out of Hueytown, Alabama, home of the Allison brothers, Bobby and Donnie. Davy was Bobby's son. Bill Cartwright was born on this day in 1957, three-time NBA champion with the Bulls. Reggie Roby, remember Reggie Roby? He was born in Waterloo, Iowa in 1961. Chris Mullen, born on this day in 1963. Terry Crews, you forget about him being an NFL linebacker for Washington, was born on this day in 1968. What do you see him on now? America's Got Talent. He's an actor now. I'm getting really young here, so I probably won't recognize any of these people. Justin Rose, English golfer, born in 1980. Hope Solo, American soccer player, was born this day in 1981. And that's going to do it for sports that I can find. Have a wonderful Friday. Still going to be hot, unbelievably hot. So be careful if you got to be out there in it today. The boys will be in here in the morning, 8 o'clock for Sports Talk. Hope you can join us then. Hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. We'll see you back in here again on Monday morning. Have a good one, folks.